I'm standing in my kitchen at 6:30 a.m., packing Emma's lunch for school, and my phone buzzes with another text from my mother. Dinner Sunday, don't bring anything store-bought this time. The same passive-aggressive tone that's followed me since I was 12 and didn't fold the laundry exactly like she taught me. My name is Reese Camden, I'm 32, and I've been a single mom for 8 years. Emma is 9 now, all wild curls and gap-toothed grins, and she's the best thing I've ever done with my life. But according to my family, I'm also the biggest disappointment. Mom, can we get a house with a pool? Emma asks, bouncing into the kitchen with her backpack dragging behind her. I pause, butter knife halfway across her sandwich. Maybe someday, sweetheart. Like the one Aunt Jessica has. My stomach tightens. My younger sister Jessica, who married her college boyfriend at 23 and moved into their McMansion in the suburbs 2 years later. The house that gets brought up at every family gathering as the gold standard of making it. We'll see, I tell Emma, which is what I always say when I can't promise her the moon but don't want to crush her dreams either. The truth is, I've been saving for a house for 3 years. Every extra dollar goes into my down payment fund. I work as a marketing coordinator for a mid-sized tech company, and between my salary and the freelance graphic design work I do on weekends, I've managed to put away almost $60,000. It's not Jessica's pool money, but it's something. Sunday dinner at my parents' house feels like walking into a courtroom where the verdict was decided before I arrived. Mom has set the table with her good china, the stuff that comes out when she wants to remind us all of proper standards. Dad's watching football in his recliner, nursing his second beer of the day. Jessica and her husband Brad are already seated, their 6-year-old son Tyler playing quietly with his iPad. Reese, honey, you look tired, Mom says as I walk in with Emma. Are you getting enough sleep? It's not concern, it's an opening statement. Mom doesn't ask questions she doesn't already have opinions about. I'm fine, Mom, work's been busy. Still at that computer company? Brad asks, not looking up from cutting his pot roast. Brad works in pharmaceutical sales and makes twice what I do, a fact that gets mentioned approximately every 15 minutes. Marketing firm, I correct, same place for 4 years now. That's nice, Jessica says with that tone that means it's not nice at all. Stability is so important, especially when you're... She glances at Emma, then back at me. When you're doing this alone. Emma looks up from her mashed potatoes. Doing what alone? Nothing, baby, I say quickly. How about you tell Grandma about your art project? But Mom's already locked onto her favorite topic. You know, Reese, Mrs. Henderson from church was telling me about her daughter, Sarah. She got divorced last year, and she's already dating someone new. A pediatrician. Good for Sarah, I say, trying to keep my voice level. She has 2 kids, you know, and she said it's so much better having a partner to help with decisions, the big life choices. Dad finally looks up from his plate. Speaking of big decisions, Jess and Brad are looking at that new development in Westfield. Show her the pictures, honey. Jessica pulls out her phone with the enthusiasm of someone about to display their firstborn's Harvard acceptance letter. 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. The master suite has a walk-in closet bigger than most people's bedrooms. I look at the photos she's swiping through. Marble countertops, cathedral ceilings, a 3-car garage. It's beautiful in that magazine-perfect way that makes my little apartment feel like a shoebox. Wow, I say, because what else do you say? The down payment was substantial, Brad adds, but when you have 2 incomes, solid credit, established careers, he trails off meaningfully. Brad got promoted to regional manager, Jessica announces. We decided it was time to really invest in our future, in Tyler's future. Emma tugs on my sleeve. Can we get a big house too, Mommy? The table goes quiet except for the sound of Dad's fork against his plate. I feel everyone's eyes on me, waiting to see how I'll navigate this particular minefield. We're looking into it, I say finally. Mom sets down her water glass with more force than necessary. Reese, sweetie, I hate to be the one to say this, but looking and actually buying are 2 very different things. Houses aren't like apartments. There are inspections, mortgage applications, property taxes, maintenance costs. I understand how buying a house works, Mom. Do you? She leans forward, her voice taking on that gentle but firm tone she used when I was 16 and thought I knew everything. Because I worry that you're not being realistic about what you can actually afford on your salary, especially with Emma to think about. Jessica jumps in because she never could stand to be left out of a conversation about my shortcomings. Maybe you should wait until you're more settled, until you have more support. The word hangs in the air like smoke. Support, we all know what she means. I have support, I say. I have my job, my savings. But what if something happens? Mom interrupts. What if you lose your job? What if Emma gets sick? What if the roof needs replacing or the furnace breaks? Single women buying houses. It's just so risky. I'm not other single women, Mom. I'm me. I've been supporting myself and Emma just fine for 8 years. Dad finally weighs in, his voice carrying that quiet authority that's supposed to end all arguments. Your mother's just looking out for you, Reese. We all are. There's no shame in waiting until you're in a more stable situation. I am stable. You know what I mean? He gives me a look that's supposed to be paternal but feels patronizing. When you have a partner, someone to share the responsibility. Emma's been listening to all of this, her 9-year-old brain trying to process why everyone thinks her mom can't buy a house. But mommy works really hard, she says, her voice small but defiant. She works at night too, on her computer. My heart breaks and swells at the same time. That's right, baby. It's not about working hard, Jessica says, her voice syrupy with false sweetness. It's about being practical. Mommy just wants to make sure we make smart decisions. The way she says, we makes my skin crawl, as if my life choices are a family committee decision. I think I know what's smart for me and my daughter, I say. Silence falls over the table like a heavy blanket. Tyler keeps playing on his iPad, oblivious to the tension. Emma pushes her vegetables around her plate. Brad clears his throat and starts talking about work again, desperate to change the subject. After dinner, while Emma and Tyler play in the backyard, I help Mom clear the dishes. It's automatic, this ritual we've performed thousands of times, but tonight it feels different. Charged. I know you think we're being unsupportive, Mom says as she scrapes plates into the garbage disposal. But we love you, Reese. We just want what's best for you. And what's best for me is finding a husband. She turns to face me, dish towel in her hands. What's best for you is being realistic about your limitations. You're a wonderful mother, honey, but providing for a family is hard work. It's why most people don't do it alone. Most people don't have a choice. You had a choice, you chose to leave Emma's father. The words hit like a slap. We've never talked about this directly, about David, about why I left him when Emma was a baby. It's been the elephant in every room for 8 years. I chose not to stay with someone who treated me like garbage, I say quietly. Marriage is work, Reese. It requires compromise, forgiveness. I want to tell her about the night David came home drunk and Emma was crying, and how he yelled at her to shut up until she was shaking with fear. I want to explain that leaving wasn't a choice, it was survival. But I've learned that my family doesn't want explanations. They want compliance. I need to get Emma home, I say instead. It's a school night. Mom nods, but I can see the disappointment in her eyes. The same look she's been giving me since I was 17 and pregnant and ruined her plans for my life. In the car, Emma is unusually quiet. We're halfway home before she speaks. Mommy, are we poor? The question catches me off guard. What makes you ask that, sweetheart? Uncle Brad said that thing about 2 incomes, and Grandma seemed worried about money. I pull into our apartment complex parking lot and turn off the engine. Emma's looking at me with those serious brown eyes that sometimes seem older than her 9 years. We're not poor, Em. We have everything we need. But not everything we want. Smart kid, too smart sometimes. Nobody gets everything they want, baby. But we're working toward our goals. Remember what I always tell you about dreams. They don't work unless you do, she recites. That's right, and Mommy's been working very hard on our house dream. Emma brightens. Really? Are we really going to get a house? I look at my daughter's hopeful face and make a decision that will change everything. Yes, Em, we're going to get our house, I promise. That night, after Emma's in bed, I sit at my kitchen table with my laptop and a cup of coffee that's gone cold. I pull up my savings account for the 100th time this month. $62,418, not including the emergency fund I refuse to touch. I start browsing real estate listings, something I do when I can't sleep and need to torture myself with possibilities. Three-bedroom houses in decent neighborhoods start at around 300,000. Even with my savings, I'd need a mortgage for the rest. My pre-approval letter from the bank sits in my desk drawer, worn soft from handling. $240,000 approved, assuming I can put down 20%. The math works, barely, but it works. I think about Mom's words, about Jessica's pitying looks, about Brad's casual dismissal of my career. I think about Emma asking if we're poor, and the way she lit up when I promised her a house. I'm tired of explaining myself, tired of justifying my choices to people who have never had to make them, tired of being treated like a cautionary tale at family dinners. I pick up my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Rebecca Martinez, the real estate agent who helped my coworker find her condo last year. It's after 9 p.m., but her website says she answers emails 24/7. My fingers hover over the keyboard for a long moment. Then I start typing. Hi Rebecca, this is Reese Camden. I got your name from Sarah at Pinnacle Marketing. I'm ready to start looking for a house. Can we set up a meeting this week? I hit send before I can change my mind. The next morning at work, I'm reviewing campaign analytics when my phone buzzes with a text from Rebecca. Absolutely. How about Thursday at 6 p.m.? I'll send you some listings to review first. Sarah pokes her head over my cubicle wall. Was that your real estate agent? Maybe, I grin. I think I'm really doing this. About time. You've been talking about buying a house for years. Talking and doing are different things. Sarah sits on the edge of my desk, lowering her voice. Are you worried about the money? It's a fair question. Sarah knows my situation: single mom, one income, family that thinks I'm setting myself up for disaster. I've run the numbers 100 times. I can afford it. I just need to find the right place. What about Emma's dad? Any child support that might help? I shake my head. David disappeared 2 years ago, stopped making his sporadic payments, and changed his phone number. His last known address was a friend's couch in Tampa. I could probably track him down through the courts, but honestly, I prefer him gone. The money wasn't worth the drama he brought with it. It's just me, I say, but that's okay, I'm good at being just me. Sarah smiles. You're going to be a homeowner, Reese, that's huge. The word feels foreign and exciting. Homeowner, not renter, not someone who needs permission to paint the walls or hang pictures. Someone who owns something permanent, something that can't be taken away by landlords or family disapproval. Thursday evening, I meet Rebecca at her office downtown. She's younger than I expected, maybe 28, with perfectly styled hair and a handshake that could crack walnuts. I pulled some listings based on your criteria, she says, spreading printouts across her desk. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, good school districts under 350. The houses look promising, older neighborhoods with tree-lined streets, nothing fancy but solid and real. Rebecca points to one listing in particular. This one just came on the market. 1950s colonial, updated kitchen, hardwood floors throughout. The owner is motivated. They already bought another house and need to sell quickly. The address is in Millbrook, a neighborhood I drive through sometimes on my way to Emma's school. Established, quiet, the kind of place where kids ride bikes in the street and neighbors know each other's names. Can we see it? Tomorrow evening, the owner prefers showings after 6. I nod, trying to contain my excitement. Let's do it. That night, I show Emma the listing photos on my laptop. She studies each image with the intensity of an art critic. It has a big backyard, she observes. Big enough for a swing set, maybe even a garden. Can I pick my room? Absolutely, as long as it's not the master bedroom. Emma giggles. That's yours, Mommy, because you're the master of our house. Master of our house, I like the sound of that. The house on Maple Street is perfect in all the ways that matter and imperfect in all the ways I can afford to fix. The kitchen cabinets need updating. The master bathroom has tile from the 1980s, and the basement has that musty smell that says dehumidifier required. But the bones are good: solid hardwood floors, crown molding, a stone fireplace in the living room that Emma immediately claims as her reading nook. The inspector says foundation is excellent, roof is only 5 years old, and all the major systems are in good shape. Rebecca tells me as we stand in the empty living room. Owner is asking 320, but I think we can get them down to 310, especially with a cash down payment. Cash down payment, 20% of 310 is $62,000, almost everything I've saved. What do you think? Rebecca asks. I think about Emma measuring the smaller bedroom for her furniture. I think about making coffee in a kitchen that belongs to me. I think about my family's faces when I tell them I bought a house without asking permission or waiting for a husband. I want to make an offer. We spend the next hour at Rebecca's office filling out paperwork. Purchase price $310,000. Down payment $62,000. Financing approved. Move-in date hopefully before Emma's birthday in 6 weeks. I sign my name on form after form, each signature bringing me closer to something that still feels too good to be true. I'll submit this tonight, Rebecca says. With their timeline, I expect we'll hear back by tomorrow evening. I drive home in a daze, hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. I just offered to buy a house. An actual house with my name on the deed and nobody else's. Emma's at my neighbor Mrs. Chen's apartment doing homework. Mrs. Chen has been my unofficial babysitter and emergency contact since Emma started kindergarten, and she never makes me feel guilty about needing help. How did it go? She asks when I pick up Emma. Good, I think. We should know tomorrow. Emma looks up from her math worksheet. Are we getting the house? Maybe, sweetheart. Keep your fingers crossed. That night, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong. The seller could reject my offer, the financing could fall through, my family could be right about me taking on too much. By 3 a.m., I'm sitting at my kitchen table making lists of monthly expenses, trying to convince myself I can actually afford this. Mortgage payment, $1,847. Property taxes, $412. Insurance, $156. Utilities, estimated $200. Total, $2,615. My take-home pay is $4,200 a month after taxes and health insurance. Add my freelance income, about $800 on a good month, and I'm looking at roughly half my income going to housing. It's more than the recommended 30%, but it's doable if I'm careful. The next evening, Rebecca calls while I'm heating up leftover pizza for dinner. They accepted your offer. I almost dropped the phone. They what? They accepted. Full price, your timeline, no changes. Congratulations, Reese, you're going to be a homeowner. Emma sees my face and starts jumping up and down. We got it, we got the house. I nod, tears starting to form. We got it, baby. Emma throws her arms around me, and for a moment, everything feels possible. The next few weeks pass in a blur of paperwork, inspections, and preparations. I give notice to my landlord, research moving companies, and start packing boxes in the evenings. Emma's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, is thrilled that we're moving to the Millbrook district. Apparently, their elementary school has an excellent art program. I haven't told my family yet. I keep meaning to, but every time I pick up the phone to call Mom, I remember Sunday dinner and the way they all looked at me like I was delusional for even dreaming about homeownership. 3 weeks before closing, I'm at work when my phone rings. Mom's contact photo fills the screen, the one Emma took last Christmas where Mom's smiling but her eyes look tired. Ties, Mom. Reese, honey, I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come to dinner Sunday? Just you and Emma, like usual. Something in her tone makes my stomach clench. Is everything okay? We'll talk on Sunday. She hangs up before I can ask more questions, leaving me with a growing sense of dread. Sunday dinner feels like an intervention. Jessica and Brad are there, sitting straighter than usual. Dad's not watching football. He's at the table, hands folded, wearing his serious face. Even Tyler is unusually subdued, playing quietly in the corner with his toys. Sit down, Reese, Mom says. We need to have a family discussion. Emma looks around the table, sensing the tension. Can I go play in the backyard? Why don't you take Tyler with you? Jessica suggests. You two can look for acorns. Once the kids are outside, Mom takes a breath and launches into what's clearly a prepared speech. Reese, we've all been talking, and we're concerned about some decisions you might be making. Financial decisions. My blood turns to ice. What are you talking about? Dad leans forward. Mrs. Henderson saw you with a real estate agent last week. She said you were looking at the Mason house on Maple Street. Small town, big mouths. I should have expected this. And I keep my voice level, though my heart is pounding. And we're worried you're getting in over your head, Jessica says. That house is expensive, Reese. Way more than someone in your situation should be taking on. Someone in my situation. A single mother with one income, Brad clarifies, as if I might not know my own circumstances. Mom reaches across the table and puts her hand over mine. Honey, we know you want to provide for Emma. We all do, but buying a house? It's such a big responsibility. What if something goes wrong? And like what? Like anything, Dad says. Job loss, medical emergency, major repairs. When you're married, you have backup. You have someone to share the load, but when you're alone. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. I pull my hand away from Mom's. I'm not alone, I have Emma. Emma's 9 years old, sweetheart, Mom says gently. She can't help pay the mortgage. The condescension in her voice makes me want to scream. Instead, I stand up and walk to the window overlooking the backyard. Emma and Tyler are collecting leaves, Emma showing him how to find the prettiest ones. She's laughing, completely oblivious to the fact that her entire future is being debated inside. How much do you know? I ask without turning around. We know you made an offer, Jessica says. Mrs. Henderson's sister works at the bank. She said you got pre-approved for way more than you should have. Lovely, my business is apparently the talk of the church coffee hour. I turn back to face them. And you decided to stage an intervention instead of just asking me directly. We tried asking, Mom says. Remember last month when I brought up Mrs. Henderson's daughter? I was trying to start a conversation about your future, about making smart choices. You mean about finding a husband? I mean about being realistic, Dad says firmly. About understanding your limitations. My limitations. I repeat the words slowly, tasting their bitterness. And what exactly are my limitations, Dad? He looks uncomfortable, but he doesn't back down. You're a single mother trying to do everything yourself. There's no shame in that, but there are practical considerations, financial considerations. I have $62,000 saved for a down payment. I have stable employment, excellent credit, and a pre-approval letter from the bank. What exactly is unrealistic about that? The number seems to surprise them. Jessica's eyebrows go up slightly. 62,000, Mom asks. How did you save that much? By working my ass off for 3 years. By doing freelance work on weekends. By not taking vacations or buying new clothes or going out to dinner. By making sacrifices you can't even imagine. Language, Reese, Mom says automatically. Screw my language, the words explode out of me. I'm 32 years old and you're worried about my vocabulary. Dad stands up, his voice taking on that authoritative tone that used to scare me when I was a teenager. That's enough. We're trying to help you, and you're being defensive. I'm being defensive because you're attacking me. We're not attacking you, Jessica says, her voice maddeningly calm. We're expressing legitimate concerns about a major financial decision that affects not just you, but Emma too. Emma, who you barely know because you only see her at these command performance dinners, where you spend the entire time telling me everything I'm doing wrong. That's not fair, Mom says, tears starting to form in her eyes. We love Emma, we love you, that's why we're having this conversation. No, you're having this conversation because you can't stand the idea that I might actually succeed without doing it your way. Silence falls over the room like a curtain. Outside, I can hear Emma and Tyler playing, their voices high and happy. Inside, the weight of 32 years of disappointment and disapproval presses down on my chest. Brad clears his throat. Look, Reese, nobody's questioning your work ethic or your dedication to Emma, but buying a house is different from saving money. There are ongoing costs, unexpected expenses. What if the furnace breaks? What if the roof needs work? What if you lose your job? What if I don't? I counter. What if everything works out exactly like I planned? And if it doesn't, Jessica asks, what then? You lose the house, destroy your credit, and Emma has to deal with the consequences of your pride. My pride, that's what this is really about. I look around the table at these people who claim to love me, who say they want what's best for me, who have spent my entire adult life waiting for me to fail so they can say, I should have listened. You know what? I say quietly, you're right. They all look surprised, as if they expected more fight. You're absolutely right that buying a house is risky, that being a single mother is hard, that having backup would be easier. I pause, meeting each of their eyes in turn. But easy isn't the same as right, and safe isn't the same as living. Reese, Mom starts. I'm not done. My voice is steady now, calm in a way that surprises me. For 8 years, I've listened to your advice about what I should do, who I should be, how I should live. And for 8 years, I've tried to prove to you that I can handle my own life. But I'm done trying to prove anything to anyone. I walk to the back door and call for Emma. She comes running in with Tyler, both of them flushed and grass-stained. We have to go, Em, get your jacket. But we didn't have dessert yet, Emma protests. We'll get ice cream on the way home. As we're leaving, Mom follows us to the door. Reese, please think about what we've said. We're not trying to hurt you. We just don't want to see you make a mistake you can't undo. I stop with my hand on the doorknob. The biggest mistake I could make is living my life according to your fears instead of my dreams. In the car, Emma is unusually quiet again. We're at a red light when she speaks. Are you and Grandma fighting? We're having a disagreement about grown-up stuff. And about the house. Smart kid, yeah, about the house. Emma thinks about this for a moment. Are we still getting it? I look at my daughter in the rearview mirror, this brave, brilliant little girl who trusts me to make the right decisions for both of us, who believes in me even when nobody else does. Yes, Em, we're definitely still getting it. The next morning, I call Rebecca from my office. Any chance we can move up the closing date? Maybe. Why? I want to get this done before anyone else has a chance to talk me out of it. Rebecca laughs, having second thoughts. No, having family. Ah, say no more, let me make some calls. By Thursday, she's worked her magic. Friday afternoon at 2 p.m., can you make it? I look at my work calendar. I have 3 meetings and a project deadline. I'll make it work. Friday morning, I'm a nervous wreck. I've barely slept and I've checked my bank account balance 6 times since getting up. The money is all there, down payment, closing costs, moving expenses, even a small cushion for emergencies. The numbers work. I've made them work. At 1:30, I leave the office telling Sarah I have a doctor's appointment. Which isn't technically a lie. Buying your first house definitely requires medical attention for the heart palpitations. The closing is at the title company downtown, in a conference room with fake wood paneling and motivational posters about teamwork. The seller is an elderly woman named Mrs. Patterson, whose husband died last year, and who can't maintain the house alone anymore. She's moving to a retirement community in Florida to be near her daughter. I'm so glad it's going to a family, she tells me as we sign papers. Harold and I raised 3 children in that house. It has good energy for kids. Emma would love that, the idea that a house could have good energy. Rebecca sits next to me, walking me through each document. Purchase agreement, mortgage paperwork, homeowners insurance, title transfer. My signature goes on page after page, each one making it more real and more terrifying. The loan officer, a middle-aged man named Frank, reviews my mortgage terms one final time. Fixed rate, 30 years, first payment due December 1st. Any questions? I shake my head, my mouth is too dry for questions. Finally, it's time for the moment I've been imagining for 3 years. The title company representative, a woman with kind eyes and reading glasses on a chain, slides the final document across the table. This is the deed, she says. When you sign this, you'll officially own 428 Maple Street. My hand shakes slightly as I pick up the pen. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I hear my family's voices, all their warnings and doubts and predictions of disaster. But louder than that, I hear Emma's voice from that morning. I can't wait to see my room, Mommy. I sign my name with a flourish that would make my third grade teacher proud. Congratulations, the title representative says, shaking my hand. You're now a homeowner. Mrs. Patterson hands me a small gift bag. The spare keys are in there, along with the garage door openers and some information about the neighborhood. There's also a little something for your daughter. I peek inside and see a small wrapped package along with the keys. Welcome to Millbrook, she says. I walk out of the title company in a daze, clutching the folder of documents that prove I own a house. An actual house with my name on the deed and nobody else's opinion required. I sit in my car for 10 minutes, just breathing and trying to process what just happened. Then I call Emma's school. This is Reese Camden, Emma's mom. I need to pick her up early today. We're moving into our new house. The words feel foreign and wonderful in my mouth. Emma is waiting in the school office with her backpack and jacket, practically vibrating with excitement. Is it time? Are we going to our house? We're going to our house. We drive through Millbrook in the late afternoon light, past the houses where Emma will trick-or-treat next month, past the corner store where we'll buy milk and bread, past the park where she'll learn to ride her bike without training wheels. When we pull into the driveway of 428 Maple Street, Emma lets out a little gasp. It's really ours. It's really ours. We sit in the car for a moment, looking at our house. The white colonial with green shutters and a red door. The maple tree in the front yard that's just starting to turn colors. The wide front porch where we'll put chairs and maybe a small table for morning coffee. Can we go inside? Emma asks. I hold up the key, our key. Let's go home. The house feels different when it's empty of Mrs. Patterson's furniture and full of our possibilities. Our footsteps echo on the hardwood floors as Emma runs from room to room, claiming spaces and making plans. This is going to be my art corner, she announces, pointing to the built-in shelves by the living room window. And this is where our Christmas tree will go. I follow behind her, seeing our life unfold in these rooms. The kitchen where I'll make her birthday breakfast. The dining room where she'll do homework while I cook dinner. The master bedroom with windows facing east where I'll wake up to sunlight in my own house. Mommy, look, Emma calls from upstairs. I find her in what will be her bedroom, standing at the window that overlooks the backyard. The afternoon sun streams in, making dust motes dance in the air like tiny golden confetti. I can see the whole yard from here, and look, there's a tree right outside my window. It's an old oak tree, its branches reaching toward the house like arms offering an embrace. In a few weeks, when the leaves finish turning, it will be a masterpiece of orange and red right outside her window. Perfect for a reading nook, I tell her. Or a lookout post I can watch for package deliveries. We spend the next hour measuring rooms and planning furniture placement. The moving truck isn't coming until tomorrow, but I brought a picnic dinner and sleeping bags so we can spend our first night in our new home. As we sit on the living room floor eating sandwiches and chips, Emma opens the gift Mrs. Patterson left for her. Inside is a small ceramic house, painted white with green shutters. It looks just like our house, Emma breathes. There's a note tucked underneath. For Emma, may your new home be filled with as much love and laughter as ours was. Welcome to the neighborhood, Mrs. Patterson. Emma clutches the little house to her chest. Can we put this on my bookshelf? And absolutely. That night, we spread our sleeping bags in the master bedroom and look up at the ceiling that belongs to us. Emma falls asleep first, curled up against my side, one hand still holding the ceramic house. I lie awake listening to the sounds of our new neighborhood. A dog barking 3 houses down, the distant hum of traffic, the settling noises of a house that's learning to accommodate new occupants. These are our sounds now, the soundtrack to our new life. I think about my family, probably sitting around Mom and Dad's table discussing my foolishness over dessert. Part of me wants to call them, to share this moment, to prove that everything worked out exactly like I planned. But a bigger part of me realizes I don't need their approval anymore. This house isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about building something for Emma and me. The moving truck arrives at 8 a.m. sharp, driven by two guys named Mike and Steve who treat our furniture like it's their own. Emma appoints herself as the official supervisor, checking items off our inventory list with the seriousness of a quality control manager. "That's my art table," she tells Mike as he carries in her small desk. "It needs to go by the window in the living room for the best light." Mike grins. "You heard the boss, Steve. Window spot for the art table." By afternoon, the truck is empty and our house is full of boxes labeled in my careful handwriting. Kitchen dishes, Emma's room books, living room winter clothes. Everything we own, everything that matters, now contained within these walls that belong to us. Emma and I spend the next week unpacking and settling in. Every evening after work, we tackle another room, another box, another step toward making this house feel like home. Emma's room comes together first, her bed by the window, her bookshelf arranged with her favorite stories, her art supplies organized in the built-in shelves. "It's perfect, Mommy," she says, spinning around in the middle of her room. "It's the most perfect room ever." I feel the same way about the whole house. The kitchen where I can spread out my work laptop on a real dining table instead of a TV tray. The living room where Emma can do cartwheels without hitting a wall. The master bedroom with a walk-in closet that actually fits all my clothes. But the best part is the feeling I get every time I put my key in the front door. The knowledge that nobody can make us leave, nobody can raise the rent, nobody can tell us we can't paint the walls or hang pictures or plant flowers in the front yard. 3 weeks into our new life, I'm working in my home office. The small bedroom I've converted into a workspace for my freelance projects, when my phone buzzes with a text from Mom. "Haven't heard from you in a while. How are you and Emma doing?" I stare at the message for a long time before responding. "We're fine, settling into the new house." The reply comes immediately. "New house." Shit, in all the chaos of moving, I never officially told them I went through with the purchase. My phone rings before I can figure out how to respond to her text. "Reese Marie Camden, did you buy that house?" Mom only uses my full name when I'm in serious trouble. A habit left over from when I was 7 and got caught stealing cookies from the jar. "Yes, Mom, we moved in 3 weeks ago." 3 weeks, and you didn't think to tell your family. I was busy moving and settling Emma into her new school, and you didn't tell us because you knew we'd try to stop you. She's right, but I'm not going to admit it. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd make it about yourselves instead of being happy for me. Happy? Reese, you just made the biggest financial mistake of your life. According to who? I own a house, Mom. A beautiful house in a great neighborhood with excellent schools. Emma loves her new room, she's already made friends at school, and we're happy. What part of that is a mistake? The part where you can't afford it. The part where you're going to lose everything when reality hits. Her voice is rising, the way it always does when she's scared and trying to regain control of a situation that's beyond her reach. I can afford it. I've been living here for 3 weeks, making payments, buying groceries, keeping the lights on. Turns out I'm pretty good at managing my own finances. For 3 weeks, what about 3 months, 3 years? What about them? What happens when Emma needs braces? Or wants to go to college? What happens when the water heater breaks or the roof starts leaking? The same thing that happens to every homeowner. I deal with it, I fix it, I handle it. By yourself. With Emma, we're a team. Mom sighs, the sound heavy with disappointment and worry. I just don't understand why you have to make everything so hard for yourself. I'm not making it hard, Mom. I'm making it mine. After I hang up, I sit in my office looking around at the space I've created for myself. My desk by the window overlooking the backyard. My client files organized in a real filing cabinet instead of cardboard boxes. My degrees and certificates framed on the wall, marketing degree from state, graphic design certification, small business owner's license. Emma pokes her head in the doorway. Was that Grandma? Yeah. Is she mad about the house? I turn around in my chair to face her. She's not mad exactly, she's worried. And about what? How do you explain to a 9-year-old that some people's love comes wrapped in so much fear that it feels like criticism? That some families show care by listing all the ways you might fail instead of celebrating your successes? She's worried we bit off more than we can chew. Emma considers this with the seriousness of a Supreme Court justice. Did we? What do you think? I think we can chew really good. We chewed up that whole apartment and spit it out for something better. I laugh, pulling her into a hug. That's exactly what we did. That weekend, Emma and I tackle our first home improvement project, painting her bedroom. She's chosen a soft yellow that she calls sunshine in a can, and she wants to paint one wall with chalkboard paint so she can draw directly on it. Are we allowed to paint the walls? She asks as we spread drop cloths on the floor. We own the house, Em. We can paint every wall purple if we want to. Her eyes go wide with possibility. Can we? Maybe not every wall. We spend Saturday afternoon painting, Emma more enthusiastic than skillful, both of us ending up with yellow paint in our hair and on our clothes. When we're done, her room glows like the inside of a sunbeam. It's perfect, she declares, admiring our handiwork. It's the most perfect room in the most perfect house. Sunday morning, I'm in the kitchen making pancakes when the doorbell rings. Through the window, I see Jessica's SUV in my driveway. Emma runs to answer the door. Aunt Jessica, Uncle Brad, Tyler. I wipe my hands on a dish towel and follow her, wondering what brought them to our doorstep unannounced. Jessica stands on my front porch, holding a potted plant and wearing the expression of someone who's been volunteered for an unpleasant duty. Hi, Reese. We were in the neighborhood and thought we'd stop by, see the new place. The neighborhood they were in is 15 minutes out of their way from anything they normally do, but I don't point that out. Come in, I say, stepping aside. They file into my living room, looking around with the careful attention of appraisers. Tyler immediately gravitates toward Emma's art corner, fascinated by her easel and paint supplies. It's nice, Brad says in the tone of someone surprised by what they found. Bigger than I expected. 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, I tell them. Built in 1952, but the previous owners updated most of the major systems. Jessica sets the plant on my mantle. From Mom and Dad, a housewarming gift. That's thoughtful. We stand there for a moment in awkward silence, the adults not sure what to say, the kids already engrossed in examining Emma's art supplies. Can Tyler help me with my chalk wall? Emma asks. Your what? Jessica looks alarmed. I painted one wall with chalkboard paint, I explain. She can draw on it. You let her draw on the walls. It's chalkboard paint, it washes off. Brad laughs. That's actually pretty clever, like having a giant notebook. Jessica still looks skeptical, but she nods permission for Tyler to follow Emma upstairs. Once the kids are gone, we settle into my living room with coffee and leftover pancakes. Jessica and Brad sit on my couch, the same couch from my apartment, but somehow it looks different here, more substantial against the white walls and hardwood floors. So, Jessica says, getting straight to the point, Mom's worried sick. And about what? About you taking on too much, about what happens when things go wrong. Things aren't going wrong. Yet, Brad adds, but statistically, homeownership comes with unexpected costs. Major appliances, structural issues, property tax increases. I set down my coffee cup with more force than necessary. Did they send you here to scare me into selling? They sent us here to check on you, Jessica says, to see how you're really doing, not just what you tell them on the phone. And what's your assessment, Dr. Jessica? She looks around my living room again. At the built-in bookshelves lined with Emma's books and my work manuals, at the fireplace where we've already had 2 cozy movie nights, at the windows that let in more natural light than our old apartment ever saw. It's a beautiful house, she admits. Emma seems really happy. She is, we both are. But are you being realistic about the finances? Brad asks. Because if something happens, I'll handle it. The the same way I've handled everything else for the past 8 years. But now you have a mortgage, Jessica points out. You can't just pack up and move if things get tight. I don't want to pack up and move, this is our home. Upstairs, we can hear Emma and Tyler laughing, their voices echoing in the hallway as they run from room to room. The sound of children being children in a house with enough space for running. She never had room to run in the apartment, I say quietly. Jessica follows my gaze toward the staircase. It's a big change. A good change. Brad leans forward. Look, Reese, we're not trying to rain on your parade. We just want to make sure you've thought through all the scenarios. What scenarios? That I might lose my job, get sick, have an emergency. Any of those things. You know what I think about, Brad? I think about Emma coming home from school to her own room instead of cramped apartment. I think about her having friends over without me worrying about disturbing the neighbors. I think about building something permanent instead of always being temporary. I stand up and walk to the window overlooking my backyard. My yard, where Emma can plant a garden and I can hang a clothesline and nobody can tell us we're violating lease terms. Do you know what Emma told me yesterday? I continue. She said this house makes her feel safe. Not just physically safe, but safe like she belongs somewhere, like she has roots. Jessica joins me at the window. That's important. It's everything. We watch through the kitchen window as Emma shows Tyler the oak tree in the backyard, both of them craning their necks to see how high the branches reach. I know you think I'm being reckless, I say. Maybe I am, but I'm also being brave, and I want Emma to learn that being brave is worth the risk. Jessica nods slowly. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. When they leave, Jessica hugs me goodbye. A real hug, not the perfunctory one we usually exchange at family gatherings. Call if you need anything, she says. I mean it. I will. But we both know I won't. Not because I don't appreciate the offer, but because I've learned that needing and asking are two different things, and one of them makes you stronger while the other makes you smaller. 2 months into homeownership, I discover what my family was really afraid of. It happens on a Tuesday morning in November. I'm getting Emma ready for school when she turns on the kitchen faucet and nothing comes out. Not a drip, not a trickle, nothing. Mommy, the water's broken. I try the faucet myself, then the one in the downstairs bathroom. Nothing. I go down to the basement and stare at the maze of pipes running along the ceiling, looking for obvious signs of disaster. Everything looks normal to my untrained eye, but clearly nothing is normal. I call a plumber, explaining that we have no water anywhere in the house. The earliest he can come is Thursday afternoon. Thursday? What are we supposed to do until then? Check if it's a city water main issue first. Sometimes it's not the house, it's the supply line. I call the city water department. No issues reported in our area. All our neighbors have water. It's definitely our house. Emma stands in the kitchen doorway in her school clothes, watching me hang up the phone. Are we going to have to move? What? No, sweetheart, it's just a plumbing problem. We'll get it fixed. But what if it costs too much money? The question hits me like a cold slap. Emma's been listening to adult conversations, absorbing grown-up fears about money and disasters, and the fragility of our new life. Hey, I kneel down to her level. Look at me, we are not moving. This is our house, and houses sometimes need repairs. That's what emergency funds are for. I send Emma to school with her water bottle filled from our emergency supplies, promising her that everything will be fine by the time she gets home. Then I spend the day making phone calls, trying to find a plumber who can come sooner than Thursday. The third plumber I call, a woman named Rosa who sounds like she's seen every home disaster imaginable, agrees to squeeze me in late Wednesday afternoon. Emergency rates apply, she warns. After-hours calls are double. How much are we talking? Depends on what's wrong. Could be anything from a $50 fix to a $1,000 nightmare. I hang up the phone and stare at my laptop screen, where I've been trying to work on a client project while dealing with the water crisis. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm designing marketing materials for a company that sells home security systems while my own home security is falling apart. That evening, Emma and I walk to the corner store to buy bottled water for cooking and brushing teeth. She's unusually quiet, her hand tight in mine, as we navigate the early November twilight. Emma, what's wrong, besides the water? Are we going to be okay? Of course we're going to be okay. But what if the plumber costs a lot of money? What if we can't afford it? I stop walking and turn to face her. At 9 years old, she shouldn't have to worry about whether we can afford to fix our house. But she's a smart kid who's been listening to adult conversations about money and risk and all the things that can go wrong. Emma, I want you to listen to me very carefully. We have money saved for exactly this kind of problem. It's called an emergency fund, and this is an emergency. So we're going to use some of that money to fix the water, and then we're going to keep living in our house just like always. But what if there are more emergencies? Then we'll handle those too, one at a time as they come up, just like every other homeowner does. She nods, but I can see the worry still etched in her young face. Rosa the plumber arrives Wednesday at 6 p.m. sharp, a compact woman in coveralls who looks like she could wrestle a water main into submission. She spends 20 minutes in the basement with a flashlight and a lot of colorful language, then emerges with her diagnosis. Your main water line froze and burst. Probably happened during that cold snap last week. The break is under your front lawn, about 6 feet down. My heart sinks. How much to fix it? Parts and labor, you're looking at about 1,500. That's including digging up your yard and patching it back up when we're done. $1,500. More than I was hoping, less than I was afraid of. I have it in my emergency fund, barely, but spending it will wipe out most of my safety net. How long will it take? If I start first thing tomorrow morning, we can have you back up and running by Friday afternoon. Saturday morning at the latest. I look at Emma, who's standing in the kitchen doorway listening to every word. Do it. Rosa nods and starts writing up the work order. I'll need half up front, half when the job's done. I write her a check for $750, watching my emergency fund evaporate with each number. The next 2 days are chaos. Rosa and her crew dig up half my front lawn, exposing a network of pipes that look like the circulatory system of some underground creature. Emma watches from her bedroom window, fascinated by the machinery and the men in hard hats transforming our pristine suburban street into a construction zone. It looks like archaeology, she observes, like they're digging for dinosaurs. Friday afternoon, Rosa knocks on my door with a satisfied smile. Turn on your kitchen faucet. Water gushes out, clear and cold and wonderful. Emma cheers like we've just won the lottery. We have water, Mommy, we have water. I write Rosa the second check, bringing my total emergency fund down to exactly $347. Not enough to handle another major crisis, but enough to cover small problems while I rebuild the fund. Your water pressure might be low for a day or two while the system normalizes, Rosa tells me as she packs up her tools. And keep an eye on that patch we put in your yard. If you see any wet spots or sinking, call me immediately. That weekend, Emma and I stand in our driveway looking at the scar across our front lawn where the water line was replaced. The dirt is darker than the surrounding grass, and Rosa's crew has left small orange flags marking the work area. It looks like our yard has a bandage, Emma says. It's healing, I tell her. By spring, you won't even be able to tell where they dug. Like when I scraped my knee on my bike, and now you can barely see the scar. Exactly like that. But I know what she's really asking. She wants reassurance that this crisis is over, that our house isn't permanently damaged, that we're still okay. Emma, do you remember what I told you about houses sometimes needing repairs? She nods. Well, this was one of those repairs. We handled it, we fixed it, and now it's done. That's what homeowners do. Are you still happy we bought the house? The question catches me off guard, not because I don't know the answer, but because she thought to ask it. I look at our house with its red front door and green shutters, our oak tree dropping the last of its autumn leaves across the lawn, our windows glowing warm and yellow in the late afternoon light. I'm absolutely happy we bought this house, even with the broken water line, even with spending our emergency money. Because this is our home, problems and all. She grins and runs up the front steps to the porch, turning to wave at me from our front door. Come on, Mommy, let's go inside our house. Sunday dinner at my parents' house feels like walking into a tribunal. Jessica and Brad are already there when Emma and I arrive, and the atmosphere is thick with unspoken questions. Emma runs off to play with Tyler, oblivious to the adult tension crackling in the air. So, Mom says as I hang up our jackets, Jessica told us you had some plumbing problems. I shoot Jessica a look. She has the grace to look embarrassed. Sorry, she says. Brad was asking how you were settling in, and I mentioned that you'd posted about the plumber on Facebook. Right, I'd forgotten about that post. A photo of the construction crew in my front yard with the caption, Homeownership Adventures. Learning about water lines the expensive way. It's handled, I tell Mom, fixed and done. How much did it cost? Dad asks, cutting straight to the heart of his concern. Does it matter? It's fixed. It matters if you can't afford it, if you had to put it on credit cards or borrow money. I take a deep breath, reminding myself that they're asking because they're worried, not because they want to see me fail. I used my emergency fund, that's what it's for. All of it, Mom's voice is sharp with worry. Most of it. The silence that follows is heavy with everything they want to say but are trying not to. I can practically hear their thoughts. This is exactly what we were afraid of. This is why single mothers shouldn't buy houses. This is what happens when you take on more than you can handle. What if something else goes wrong? Brad finally asks. Then I'll figure it out, the same way every homeowner figures it out. But you don't have a partner to help share the load, Jessica points out gently. If this had happened to us, it would be stressful but manageable because we have two incomes. And if something happened to Brad's job, you'd only have one income too. Would you sell your house? That's different. How? She opens her mouth to explain, then closes it again, realizing that the difference is not as clear as she thought. Dad leans forward in his chair. Reese, we're not trying to be unsupportive, but maybe it's time to consider whether you bit off more than you can chew. Because I had one plumbing emergency. Because you had one plumbing emergency that wiped out your savings, and you've only been there for 2 months. 3 months and I didn't bite off more than I can chew, I chewed what I bit off. The problem is fixed. The house is fine. Emma and I are fine. Mom reaches across the table and puts her hand over mine. Honey, nobody would blame you if you decided this was too much. You could sell the house, maybe take a small loss, and find a nice apartment in a good neighborhood. I'm not selling my house. Just think about it, she presses. Think about what's best for Emma. Stability, security, not having to worry about furnaces and roof repairs, and all the things that can go wrong with an old house. I pull my hand away from hers. You know what Emma told me yesterday? She said our house makes her feel like she belongs somewhere, like she has roots. That's worth more than a worry-free apartment. But what about your stress level? Jessica asks. What about your peace of mind? My peace of mind comes from knowing that Emma and I can handle whatever comes our way. That we don't need anyone's permission or approval to live our lives. The conversation continues through dinner, a careful dance around the central question none of them want to ask directly. Are you going to admit we were right? After we finish eating, Emma and Tyler disappear upstairs to play video games, and the adults retire to the living room for coffee and continued concern. I know you think we're ganging up on you, Jessica says as Mom clears the dessert plates, but we love you. We want you to succeed. Then act like you believe I can. We do believe you can, Dad says. We just think you're making it unnecessarily hard on yourself. By buying a house, by providing a stable home for my daughter, by refusing to live according to your fears instead of my dreams. By taking on financial obligations you might not be able to sustain, Brad clarifies. I stand up and walk to the living room window, looking out at the neighborhood where I grew up. The same houses, the same streets, the same safe, predictable sameness that my parents have never wanted to leave. Do you know what I realized this week? I say without turning around. when I was standing in my kitchen with no water and a 9-year-old daughter asking if we were going to have to move. They wait for me to continue. I realized that I wasn't scared. Frustrated, yes. Stressed about the money, absolutely, but not scared. Because it was my house, my problem, my responsibility to fix, and I could handle it. I turned back to face them. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't waiting for someone else to rescue me or solve my problems or tell me what to do. I was just handling it. And that feeling, that confidence, is worth every dollar I spent on that water line. Mom looks like she wants to cry. I just don't want you to get hurt. I'm 32 years old, Mom. Getting hurt is part of life. But so is getting back up and fixing what's broken and moving forward anyway. Emma appears in the doorway, rubbing her eyes sleepily. Can we go home now? I want to sleep in my own bed. Her own bed, in her own room, in our own house. Of course, sweetheart, let's go home. Spring arrives early this year, and with it comes the vindication of every choice I've made in the past 6 months. My front lawn, scarred and patched from the water line repair, erupts in new grass that's greener and thicker than the old. Emma plants marigolds along the front walkway, their bright orange faces turning toward the sun like tiny celebrations. The emergency fund is slowly rebuilding. I've been putting every spare dollar back into savings, determined to be prepared for the next crisis. Because there will be a next crisis. That's what homeownership means, but I'm not afraid of it anymore. Emma's art corner has expanded from the living room window to include a small easel on the back porch, where she paints landscapes of our yard and portraits of the neighbor's cat, who's adopted us as his afternoon nap spot. Her teacher says she's never seen a child so inspired by her living space. She talks about our house at least once every day, Mrs. Patterson tells me during parent conferences. She's drawn pictures of her room, the backyard, even the basement. She's clearly very happy with your living situation. Our living situation. Such a clinical phrase for the magic of waking up in a place that belongs to you. I've made friends with the neighbors. Janet from next door, who brought over homemade cookies on moving day, Carlos from across the street, who helped me figure out the sprinkler system, Mrs. Kim from 2 houses down, who watches Emma after school when I have client meetings. We're part of a community now, not just renters passing through. The house itself has settled around us like a favorite sweater, molding itself to our routines and rhythms. I know exactly which floorboard creaks when Emma sneaks down for midnight water, and she knows to avoid the squeaky step third from the top when she's trying to surprise me on Saturday mornings. The morning sun hits the kitchen table at exactly the right angle for breakfast, and the reading nook by the living room window gets perfect afternoon light for homework. These are the details that make a house a home, the accumulation of ordinary moments that become extraordinary simply because they're yours. It's been 6 months since the water line crisis, and I haven't heard a single "I told you so" from my family. Not because they've stopped worrying, but because even they can't argue with the evidence. Emma and I are thriving. Emma's birthday is next week, her 10th, a milestone that feels enormous. She's asked for a birthday party in our backyard, her first time hosting friends at our house. Can we have a sleepover too? She asks as we plan the menu and decorations. I want everyone to see my room. How many friends are we talking about? Just 5, maybe 6, definitely Sarah and Madison and Claire, oh, and Katie from art class, and Jessica M., not Aunt Jessica, and probably. I hold up a hand, laughing. 6 is the limit, any more than that and I'll need a permit from the city. She grins, already mentally arranging sleeping bags and planning midnight snack raids. The morning of her birthday party, I wake up early to decorate the backyard. I've strung lights between the oak tree and the house, set up picnic tables borrowed from the neighbor, and filled mason jars with wildflowers from Emma's garden. It looks like something from a magazine, if magazines featured real backyards owned by single mothers who saved for 3 years to afford them. Emma comes outside in her pajamas, hair wild from sleep, and gasps at the transformation. Mommy, it's beautiful. It looks like a fairy tale. Happy birthday, sweetheart. She throws her arms around me, squeezing tight. This is the best birthday ever, and it's not even started yet. The party is chaos in the best possible way. 6 10-year-old girls running through the backyard, playing games, eating too much cake, shrieking with laughter that carries across the neighborhood like a declaration of joy. I watch from the back porch, taking pictures and marveling at how natural this feels, how right it is to have our home filled with Emma's friends and their happiness. Janet from next door stops by with a birthday card and stays for cake. "You've got quite the party going here," she says, watching Emma and her friends attempt a complicated jump rope routine. Emma's first real party, she's been planning it for weeks. First party in the new house. First party ever, actually. We never had space in the apartment. Janet looks around our backyard. Not large by suburban standards, but spacious enough for birthday parties and garden plots, and all the dreams that need room to grow. "She's a lucky girl," Janet says. "So I'm the lucky one." As the sun sets and the string lights come on, the girls gather around Emma as she opens her presents. Books and art supplies, a new easel from me, a friendship bracelet kit that immediately gets torn open so they can make matching bracelets for everyone. "This is the best house for parties," announces Sarah, Emma's best friend from school. "It's like a real grown-up house." "It is a real grown-up house," Emma says proudly. "My mom bought it all by herself." The words hit me like a gentle punch to the chest. My mom bought it all by herself. Not with pride in our accomplishment, but as a simple statement of fact. To Emma, this is just what moms do: work hard, save money, buy houses, create homes. Later, after the last friend has been picked up and the backyard is cleaned up, Emma and I sit on the back porch looking at our house with its lit windows and settled-in feeling. "Thank you for the best birthday ever," she says, leaning against my shoulder. "Thank you for being the best daughter ever. Are you happy we live here?" "I'm happier than I ever thought possible." She's quiet for a moment, thinking, "I'm glad Grandma and Grandpa were wrong." The comment surprises me. I didn't think she'd been paying that much attention to the family drama. What were they wrong about? About us not being able to handle a house, about needing a husband to help us. We handled everything just fine. Smart kid, too smart sometimes. We did handle it, didn't we? We handled it great, and if something else breaks, we'll handle that too. How do you know? She looks up at me with those serious brown eyes that sometimes seem older than her 10 years. Because we're a team, and teams don't give up. The next morning, I'm cleaning up the last of the party debris when my phone rings. Mom's contact photo fills the screen. "Hi, Mom." "Hi, honey, how was Emma's party?" "Perfect. She had 6 friends over, and they had the time of their lives." "6 friends, that's quite a crowd for your apartment." "We had it in the backyard, plenty of space for everyone." There's a pause, and I can almost hear her processing this information. Emma's party wasn't cramped or complicated by space limitations. It was everything a 10-year-old's birthday party should be. "I'm glad it went well," she says finally. "Emma deserves a wonderful birthday." "She does, and she got one." Another pause, then, "Reese, I owe you an apology." I almost dropped the phone. In 32 years, I can count on one hand the number of times my mother has apologized to me for anything. For what? For not believing in you. For treating you like a child instead of recognizing that you're a capable adult who knows what she's doing. I sit down on my back porch steps, looking out at the yard where Emma's friends played yesterday, where she planted her marigolds, where we've built something beautiful together. "I was scared," Mom continues. "Scared of watching you struggle, scared of seeing you fail, scared of not being able to help if things went wrong. But I let my fear become criticism, and that wasn't fair to you." Mom, let me finish. You've proven that you can handle homeownership, parenthood, and everything else life throws at you. You've built a beautiful life for yourself and Emma, and I'm proud of you. I should have said that months ago. Tears are starting to form, the kind that come when someone finally sees you the way you've been trying to be seen all along. "Thank you," I managed to say. "Can we come see the house sometime? Really see it, not just drop by to check on you." "Of course, Emma would love to show you her room. And I'd love to see what you've built." What I've built, not what I've bought or what I've gotten lucky with, but what I've built through years of saving and planning, and refusing to let other people's fears become my limitations. After we hang up, I walk through my house seeing it with fresh eyes. The kitchen where I make Emma's breakfast every morning, packed lunches on the counter, coffee brewing in the machine I could finally afford to replace. The living room where we do homework and watch movies and have dance parties when her favorite songs come on. The dining room table where I work on freelance projects while she does art at the other end, both of us creating something in our shared space. Emma's room with its sunshine, yellow walls, and chalk wall covered in her drawings. A continued. The master bedroom where I sleep peacefully for the first time in years. I run my fingers over the quilt I bought on sale the week we closed, a small luxury that feels enormous now. Somewhere between the chipped paint on the window trim and the faint smell of lemon cleaners, I find the quiet answer to the question that's trailed me my whole adult life. Am I enough? I am. A few weeks after Mom's apology, she and Dad come for a proper visit. They stay for dinner. Jessica brings a casserole and doesn't comment on my DIY shelving. Brad helps me hang a heavy mirror in the hallway without offering financial advice. Tyler falls asleep on Emma's floor mattress at midnight, clutching a stuffed dinosaur he'd accepted as a peace offering from my daughter. The conversation that night is oddly ordinary. Dad insistently asks about the furnace filter schedule. Mom compliments the curtains in a voice that is almost, but not quite, pride. At one point, Mom catches Emma across the room, teaching Tyler how to make friendship bracelets out of embroidery thread, and her eyes mist over in a way that isn't worry. I'm still nervous sometimes, she admits later, when the kids are in bed and we're standing on the back porch with mugs of tea gone lukewarm. But I see you. I see how hard you work and how you help Emma build a life. I was wrong to judge you for not doing it the way I did. I know why you said those things, I tell her. You were afraid, but fear isn't the same as wisdom. She laughs, a short, honest sound. Maybe not, it's just louder. We make small amends over the next few months. Not everything heals, old patterns don't dissolve overnight, but the sharp edges dull. Mom learns to ask questions that are curious rather than protective. Dad learns to say, "Can I help?" instead of "you should." Jessica stops offering helpful comparisons and starts offering actual help. She watches Emma one Saturday a month so I can take on a larger freelance client, and when Brad gets a bonus, they ask if they can help with hiring a landscaper for the front yard rather than lecturing me on interest rates. Work changes too. I land a steady retainer with a small business after they see my portfolio. My weekends become fewer client projects and more strategy calls that pay well. I keep freelancing, not because I have to, but because I like it. It keeps my skills sharp, and importantly, it keeps an extra cushion in the bank. Little by little, the emergency fund returns to a healthy number. I set up an automatic transfer every payday so saving becomes as routine as paying the mortgage. Neighbors become friends in the most unremarkable and life-affirming ways. Jan brings over a lemon cake when I land a new client. Carlos helps me wire a broken lamp. Mrs. Kim watches Emma after school without drama because she enjoys the girls' laugh more than the paycheck. When the city schedules a neighborhood cleanup, I find myself volunteering to coordinate the kids' activities. Emma helps lead the scavenger hunt. She takes her role seriously, organizing teams, assigning prizes, proud and practiced in stewardship. There are more small storms. The dishwasher dies one winter, and I go a week washing dishes by hand, messy, meditative work that feels almost sacred. A month later, the car needs new brakes. But every repair is a rehearsal for competence. I call, I budget, I schedule, we adjust. Emma learns what budgeting means not as a scary adult concept, but as choices, sleepovers, or new art supplies this month. She starts a tiny lemonade stand in the summer and donates part of her earnings to buy seeds for the garden. Teaching her to manage money, seed to harvest, becomes part of the education I never expected to teach so early. 2 years from the day I signed the deed, I stand on the front porch with Emma and show her a photo album. We flip through pictures, moving boxes, an early morning of painting, the waterline drama, her 10th birthday in the backyard. She points at a photo of herself asleep on a pile of packing blankets during the move and giggles. "You were so small," she says. "You still are in all the ways that matter," I say, and she punches my arm lightly. At dinner that night, Mom calls. She asks if she can come for Sunday supper. She wants to bring a pie. There's a new softness to her tone now, less instruction, more invitation. I tell her gladly to bring the pie and whatever patience she wants to bring, too. When she arrives, she brings old photo albums of her own. We sit at the dining table between stacks of mail and boxes labeled Emma, art supplies, and kitchen mugs and laugh until our sides ache at hairstyles that deserve their own warning labels. Dad tells a story about fixing a tractor that somehow involves three unrelated animals and a lost wedding ring, and even Jessica and Brad come by with Tyler in tow. The house is noisy and warm and alive. After they leave, I look around. The mantel has new pictures, Emma at a school art fair, me in a hoodie with paint on my hands, a candid of Janet and me holding matching coffee mugs. The little ceramic house Mrs. Patterson gave Emma keeps a place of honor on the bookshelf. The red front door has a new wreath painted by Emma with sunflowers and handprints. There's nothing cinematic about this victory. No dramatic confrontation where I demand apologies, no bank account that suddenly inflates. It's slower than that. It's a string of ordinary choices that add up. Staying when things are hard, showing up when teachers call, saving a little more every month, painting a bedroom yellow so the sun feels permanent. It's Emma's hand in mine as she learns to ride her bike, the way she burrows into the couch for movie night, how she says, "we," with certainty whenever she refers to our life. One evening, as late summer bleeds into the soft edges of September, I close the front door behind us and feel the lock click. Emma is at the table drawing a map of the neighborhood, the playground, Mrs. Kim's house, where the bus stops. She adds a little star next to our house and writes, "Home," in the corner in big, careful letters. "Can you be my anchor, Mom?" she asks without looking up. I sit down across from her, surprised by the precision of the question. "Anchor," I echo. "Yeah, when someone feels scared, an anchor keeps them from floating away. That's what our house is, and you're my anchor." My throat tightens. "I'll anchor you always," I tell her. She smiles, content, and goes back to coloring the map. Later, I step outside on the porch and look up at the maple tree, our maple, with its branches fuller than the year before. The neighborhood hums, a distant lawn mower, someone calling a dog, the low murmur of conversation from a porch 2 houses down. I breathe in the evening air and taste the faint sweetness of marigolds. Ownership, I've learned, wasn't the point. The point was belonging. The point was choosing a life that answered to me and my daughter, not to other people's narrow expectations. The house is just a container now, walls, floors, thresholds, holding whatever we bring into it. Laughter, arguments, spilled paint, bills, late-night phone calls, emergency repairs, celebrations. All of it belongs here because we chose it and because we will meet the hard parts together. When I finally turn the key in the lock and pocket it again, it's no longer a talisman to brandish at the doubters. It's a quiet promise to myself, to keep building, to keep being brave, to keep making room for the life we choose. Some nights I still wake before dawn and scroll through bank accounts and invoices and client emails, habitual, protective. But those nights are no longer defined by fear. They're work. They're stewardship. They're the small, steady choices that make a life. And somewhere in the middle of all that ordinary, profound mess, Emma and I plant another row of marigolds. We water them together, fingers muddy and smiling. "Will they really come up, Mommy?" she asks. "They always do," I answer. We stand side by side, looking at the row of tiny green shoots, and I think of all the things that were once said to me, about needing a husband, about not being enough, about waiting for rescue. None of them are true. The truth is that we didn't wait, we worked, we saved, we learned, we fixed, we loved, we rooted. Home is where the heart settles, and ours has settled, stubborn and steady, right where it belongs.